Well, hello again. And it's just wonderful that we can be together and just have a good time and just trust that the Lord has something special for us tonight. So, anyway, let's just start in with a little song that speaks to my heart. Jesus, what a friend of sinners. Tonight I have a very special person with me, and she's been my friend now for a long time, and I just thought you should know her because she works behind the scenes. So what you see is a lot of compiling of a lot of work that Elaine does too. So anyway, this is my friend, and this is Elaine Amundsen, and she's been with me for a long time, and so I'd like to know, Elaine, let's see, how did you find the Lord?
So it was back in 1972, and I was a lost, confused, frightened 20-some-year-old, searching for God. And there was a young couple who invited me to their home. It was a cottage prayer meeting. They invited me there. And at their kitchen table, I surrendered my life to the Lord and just experienced a love that I had never known, and then found a new direction for my life.
I've heard that before, but I love to hear it again. Just the power of the Holy Spirit. Yeah. And how did we meet?
So that was in 1977, and I had been teaching preschool in Waverly, but looking for something new. There was a little note in the church bulletin that they needed a secretary in the Life That Wins office, and I thought, I'm going to apply and trust the Lord. And that application was approved, and that began the journey, 1977.
Oh, wow. Yeah, well, then after the Life That Wins, which was really busy, wasn't it? You went over to the church, all right? Then you began to take on a lot of other hats, and I was one of the hats, wasn't I? Yeah. Okay, so then when our church was just sort of exploding, my husband told me to start a women's work, and so I started winning women. And that just ballooned so fast, didn't it? And first I had 6, and then 12, and then 30, and then 60, and then 300. And so it just ballooned so much, and it did change a lot. And how did that affect your work with me?
So in those days we were using cassette tapes, and we had a cassette tape recorder. And so your messages would be recorded, and we would make those tapes, make them available to people. And so I got very familiar with how to do cassette tapes and put labels on and put them in a package. And so those years were just filled with meaning and purpose and joy.
Yes, it was for all of us. Now, then after we did that, let's see, tell me, when the speaking ministry, people began to hear it in other places, what was happening there. So then I began to get calls and things. Well, then that changed a great deal. So tell them about that.
So then, at that time, you had books, a number of books that were in print, and then a number of cassette albums, tape albums on different topics, different themes. There were books, one especially called the Here's How book, that we made, I'm thinking we made thousands. Probably. And so when a call would come in for you to speak, then I would develop a relationship with the people that had called. And then I would work with a travel agency, because that was not the day of computers. So we'd work with a travel agency, get plane reservations all worked out, and then I would pack up, just organize the books, the tapes, the Here's How books, just for that number of people, and ship them off by UPS, take them out to UPS, ship them off, and with prayer, because we knew that God was going to minister to the lives of people.
No, you can't have her. I don't. You had to grow along with us, and you certainly did. Yeah. Well, then, after we resigned from here, we went back to Indianapolis. And then when my husband passed away, then I moved back. And so then, what happened then? But let's see, the music, they had a group calling the Women at the Well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so they asked me to take the music, and so then what happened?
Mm-hmm. So we just took up where we had left off.
That's it.
And so I helped type up sheets with words, the music words, and just help line up people that would come along and help with singing, and just whatever the needs were, some transportation. Yes, just tell me, Ruth Ann, I'll go there, I'll do that.
Yeah, I know it. Kind of embarrassing, really. Oh my. Memories. Well, when I think about that, I think about Jonathan and David. David, of course, became famous because he killed a giant. Well, King Saul, he wasn't too happy about that, And in fact, he was hit with jealousy, and it was heavy jealousy. He says, "Who is that stripling?" Instead of being glad for what he did, and all he was thinking about is when the rest of the people were scared to death to face that giant. But is there not a cause? Is there not a cause? And I relate with David. He had a cause, and we have a cause. Mm-hmm. And I know that Craig has a cause, and lots of people out there have one, or they're looking for one. But anyway, he couldn't get over that jealousy. And he knew that was going to put David right out there in front. So then he said, bring him to the palace. So David could play on a harp. So he took it in, and he was jealous, and he'd have fits. And so David would play, and then he would get quiet because the Lord ministered to him. And then when he'd quit playing, he'd try to kill him. He'd throw a javelin at him, and David would have to dodge, and finally he just couldn't go back there anymore. But during that time, he and Jonathan really knit together. And when they would go to war, they were almost always together. And Jonathan always stood back there, and he carried the arrows. But it was always David out here in front that shot them. Now, Jonathan was supposed to be the king because he was the son. But he said, the Lord has called you. I know he hasn't me. And he was perfectly fine with that. I mean, that they had a special friendship that endured. And I always feel like that. When your cause is perfect, when your cause is centered, when it's pure, you don't care if you're in the trenches. No. As long as somebody is out there and shooting the arrows. So I want to say today, I'm so glad I had somebody that was so cause-centered, and that's the way Craig is too. So, all right, well, I'll just play this little song for you. Jesus, what a And she will be precious to you if you ever meet her. And thank you, Craig. And just thank you for listening and being part of my life. I love you. Thank you. Have a wonderful, wonderful week.